computer. All right. Thank you all for taking the time today to be with us for our Arts Connect Neighbors follow-up conversation after the application deadline. We had a terrific response. We're really happy that you're able to be here with us today. Before we go any further, I do see I've got one member of the Roanoke Arts Commission, John Cornthwaite, on. And John, let you introduce yourself and say hi.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for all of the great submissions. It was super fun to go through and experience all of the great and creative ideas last week. As the placemaking chair of the Arts Commission, project is near and dear to my heart, and going to be working on it quite a bit over the next year. So I'm really, really excited at this juncture.
Thanks a lot, John. And my name is Douglas Jackson. I'm the Arts and Cultural Coordinator for the City of Roanoke, and I'm the staff person working on this. I should say that we've got some partners. The Roanoke Cultural Endowment's a partner. We're doing it with support from the National Endowment for the Arts. We're working with Roanoke Neighborhood Advocates as we do this as well. And I think the partners are just going to grow and grow as we get this program out there. And this is Arts Connect's Neighbors, and the idea is how can we use our arts assets, our artists, our arts organizations in order to better connect our neighbors. We're coming out of the pandemic. We had lots of conversations during the pandemic. I can remember talking with Catherine Devine, who's on the call, in the middle of the pandemic, outside, spaced far apart from each other, saying, how are we going to get past this and how are we going to get people connected again? And the strategies we've been taking on, we are building them together as a community. And it's following the Year of the Artist and the kind of the network of artists who've been part of it, our arts and culture organizations who we fund every year and are doing meaningful programming in the community and continue to help make this the community that we want it to be. So the idea is how do we bring free arts resources to neighborhoods to help neighbors connect? And so before I do anything else, I want to thank you for applying to be part of the project. John mentioned that we had a panel conversation, and we've got a great panel of terrific volunteers who have been reviewing the submissions. I'm just a staff person. I kind of weigh in on things and provide some information that I've got. But everything we do at the Arts Commission involves a citizen committee. So it's got to have residents from neighborhoods, stakeholders, other parts of the city. So keep that in mind. And if you ever want to be part of a panel reviewing a public art project, a grant review panel, we've got lots of opportunity for that. And you'll see that in our newsletter coming out as well periodically. And so I do want to say, just give a little bit of background. We had nearly 100 submissions on this, which is fantastic. Now, I should say again, that one of our policies or the ways that we're thinking about things in the Year of the Artist last year and in an ongoing way is that we're building a learning community. We haven't done this before. We think if we get together, roll our sleeves up and learn together, we can do a whole lot more together. And so we're trying this out. We weren't sure how many we'd get, but we got nearly 100 submissions. And we have budgeted $25,000 to support the development of projects. And that's what folks applied for. So that's 50 artists or arts organizations who will each be paid $500 each to go through the development process with us. Now, a couple of things. The artists in residence, and we have 17 artists in residence working with us this year, and some are on the call. They can submit ideas, but won't be paid. Artists or arts organizations that submit multiple ideas will just be eligible for one development fee. And then if multiple artists are joining together to do something together, or multiple arts organizations, then they'll only be eligible for one development fee, and that would be the lead partner on it. We'd contract with that lead partner. So the panel went through it and made made comments, and then did just kind of general weighing in. And these general categories were like, yes, I should say, it actually said yes, exclamation mark, because there are some that we're really, really excited about. And we had 47 who scored in that category. So 47 already we're thinking, wow, these are going to be terrific. Of those 47, those would take 26 payments, because I just mentioned that not everybody who submits, if they're submitting multiple, they get multiple payments. So we've got about half of the payments accounted for in those 47. Then we've got a category of, yeah, we think this might work, but we've got to check in on some things. There might need to be some adjustments, and we might have to clarify before we go further. And that's A-okay as well. And we've got 24 that were in that category. And then we've got, well, I can't see it on my screen there. We've got 28 that we put not yet, meaning that we may not be ready to think about it, and it may not happen this year, or it may not happen within this program. And let me say one thing about this, and I'll kind of do some description about this. First off, this is only one of our programs through the Roanoke Arts Commission. I mentioned that we've got the artists in residence who are working alongside us. We have what we called last year Art Matters grants. I think this year we're calling them Art Action grants. And those, I already saw a couple of the projects that are in this not yet category that I thought, wow, that doesn't seem like a fit for this program, but what if we use some other resources and partner? So we've got that resource. We give arts organizations grants every year to the tune of about $340,000 through our funding committee. And that application process opens in December. So there are arts organizations who might want to tailor a request under that program. That's for 501c3 nonprofit arts organizations. So we've got other resources, other ways to get projects done. So we looked at this as the opening of a conversation. So if you reached out and said, okay, well, here's my application, this is what I'm interested in doing. We're not looking at it trying to say, no, we don't want to do that. We're looking at it trying to say, okay, what could the right path be for a project like this? And that means what additional work needs to be done, what might the funding stream be, and we feel pretty confident that we can find some great ways to work with artists who applied and the arts organizations. So of those not yet, the ones that were scored under kind of not yet, there were some major themes through them. One was they weren't as connected to the neighborhood. So we really are looking at projects for this program in which a neighborhood group, a group of neighbors, folks on a block can sit down with a catalog and say, oh, this is of interest to us. We can see how bringing in an artist to do this would help us connect with each other, and maybe we could it can help strengthen our organization. So that's the kind of thing we're really thinking about, that lens. So how does the neighborhood interact with this project? So they're either not connected to it or not right now oriented toward the neighborhood. Now, when I say that, everybody on this call is a creative person, and and you probably think like I do, where you can find a way to make it work. And we found ourselves, even as we were reviewing these, starting to do some of that project design work and thinking, oh, but what if we had this connection, or what if? Of course, it's not, we're doing this in partnership and it's not our proposal or our project. So we're going to come back to you and say, okay, well, here's some of the things that we thought. One thing, there were several that seemed like they were already going to happen, that these are projects that are already underway, that aren't connected to neighborhoods necessarily, but are more organizational projects. But the organization is looking, or the artist is looking for funding for that existing effort. And we couldn't figure out a way to make that fit quite yet either. And then there were some that were just kind of more like, I'm interested. I would like to do something along the lines of this, but I don't know what that looks like yet. So there wasn't enough information to score them in the other categories yet. That said, we hope, and we're going to be really busy in the coming weeks in having conversations, and I'll tell you how that's going to go. Let's see. So we're going to have kind of office hours style conversations that are going to begin today. And these office hours are going to be just like this, a Zoom call. where we'll have the Zoom open. Today, I'll be sitting here at the desk and I'll be working. And if I see somebody pop into the meeting, then I'll open the door up and let somebody come in and we'll talk. This is going to be pretty informal. Like I said, we're learning this as we go. We're learning how to have these conversations. And I imagine we'll learn a lot about each other, and we'll also learn about what might make a good project. So you can expect to see on our Arts Connect Neighbors, there's an FAQ part down at the bottom, and you can expect either us to add to that or to do a special FAQ for applicants and send those out periodically in the next 2 weeks. So we've got some hours set aside for today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. It's going to be a lot of conversations. Okay, and it's not just me. This is the exciting part too, right? Corey Greer, he's on the call, and you'll see that he's our chief communicator under this grant. So Corey's going to be doing our newsletter this year, connecting us that way. And there are other ways Corey's going to help us connect. We've also got 2 coaches and two facilitators. So Kaisha Preston and Antonio Stovall are going to be coaches working alongside me. They'll be in calls with me at first, and then they'll probably be doing some of the calls on their own as well. Katie Trazo and Joy Truskowski are facilitators, and their specialty is going to be in the spring working alongside neighborhoods and helping the neighborhoods take advantage of these projects and efforts, and kind of coaching them along the lines of working together. But this fall, they're going to be working alongside us and kind of figuring out what this catalog is going to look like. So what's that catalog going to look like? That's an exciting question. So I will say that, okay, before I do this, I'll say, what's that catalog going to look like? We do want to have a printed catalog, something that we'll figure out what this is going to look like. And we've got some expertise to help us figure out what it's going to look like. The special announcement that we offered or proposed or promised is that this fall, and coming up real fast, we're going to be doing a television show about this project. And this is going to be Buzz. You see it on Blue Ridge Public Television, Buzz for Good. It's Michael Hemphill's effort. He has a grant with the Roanoke Cultural Endowment, and he's been working on episodes over the last 5 or 6 months. Well, actually, over the last year, 6 episodes showing how the arts are making Roanoke a stronger community. And it's through economic development. It's through healing and wellness. It's through education. It's through bringing us together. And here it's going to be through these neighborhood engagements and creating stronger connections in neighborhoods. So what we expect this to look like is the way their show operates is that they have a project. You learn about the project in the show, and they also engage some creative talent in thinking about the project. So that creative talent is going to be the advertising group, Ansi Hodge, and they're going to be working alongside us this year, helping to create, or the fall, helping to create the catalog and help us think through how are we going to get this out in front of neighbors? How are we going to excite neighbors about it? How are we going to excite the community about it? And help us think together about the arts as a building block for a strong Roanoke. And so there's going to be a chance that if you're working on a project with us and you're under contract, or is not right under contract yet, but working on your effort, that you might be interviewed for the television show. We're going to be out shooting things that are happening in neighborhoods now this fall. And then in January, when we're ready to release that catalog, we're going to have that television show and then the link to the online streaming of the television show that we'll be able to share with people. Because you probably got the sense that, well, this might be a little hard to communicate up front, because it's new, we haven't done it before, and we're making it up. Although we're making it up, but we think it's going to be a really good idea and project. But since it's the first time, it takes a little more effort to communicate. So the more tools we have, the better off we'll be. In that television show, there'll probably be a podcast as well. There'll be other interviews and such that we can send off in short clips that are going to help people in neighborhoods kind of get energized around it throughout the early spring. So that's a fast timeline to get all of this ready by January. So how are we going to get there? Now, October 30th is going to be the due date for our final catalog entries on this. We're going to do it by a Google form. Everybody who applied is now probably already was, but if not, you are now familiar with the Google form and how that can work. On the Google form, we're going to ask for all kinds of information about what this project's going to look like. We're going to help you build it through these one-on-one calls. We're going to ask for an invoice and a W-9 and an agreement that if you are chosen to provide this service in a neighborhood by the neighborhoods through circling in the catalog, that if you're chosen, that you're going to be able to provide that at least once. And that's your promise to us when we do this agreement. Now, I worked this weekend and we've got the form kind of sketched out, and it's under review still, and it's not ready for anybody to go in and fill it out. But what I'd like to do is show it to you today and just walk through it very quickly so you get a sense of all that we're going to be asking as we go through this process. Now, keep in mind, not everybody who submitted is going to go through this process, because we might find that there's another grant program that's a better fit, or that we might need to take a few months and work together in a strategy of like how we can help you achieve your goals through your particular project. And I'm going to stop the share, and then I'm going to start a new share. Let's see, share screen. Okay. Let's see. I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. Can you see? You probably see the whole screen. Let me undo that and make it a little bit better. I can just share the window, and that'll be give you a little more real estate for it. Okay. So now we've got this is what the form is going to look like. It says, we're building a catalog to market you. Attend a required coaching session and submit this form by October 30th. And that's only 2 weeks away. So it's 2 weeks from today. So we've got a lot of work to do in 2 weeks. And we are going to ask for your email address. Boy, we'll start really easy. Your email address, your name. If you operate under a different name as an organization or a business, which is terrific. We do the arts, our business. This is small business that we're building. We think that's terrific, and we ask for the name of your business. And we'll be happy to market your business through the catalog. So however you want to be known is what we're asking for. And then we'll ask for your address and your phone number. And then a link to one website, or, I think a website, your CV, your Instagram, things that are pretty readily available. Once you get into Facebook, it's a little tricky. Not everybody uses Facebook. Yeah, the one place you like to send people, and it could be your organization page, could be a personal page. And because we're going to include a link, like I said, we're going to have the written catalog, and we'll also have a digital catalog. So we'll be able to use that link. Then we're going to ask for a high resolution quality marketing image that we can use for that. And that's where you can have some fun, and you can create it in Canva, or you can use whatever tool. It can be a very simple flyer. It could be a logo. This is where you're having fun being creative, because we know you want to capture people's attention. And the first thing they're going to do, they'll look at the image, they'll look at the title, and you want to get them curious enough to read further. And then we'll also ask for a high resolution image of you in action. So this is your organization, an image that represents your organization. So say you teach music lessons. It's probably got the back of some kids' heads and some instruments, and then it's got you in action teaching, you name it. So we'll ask for the picture of you. We're asking for the marketing image. And then we want a fun title for your engagement. That's where people really it captures their imagination. And so I've got an example here. And so say we had a comedy workshop. It could be the neighborhood that laughs together, a comedy workshop for beginners. So, that said beginners so that maybe I don't want people to be intimidated, because it could be intimidating to have to get up in front of others and try and be funny. And then a short description of the engagement. And this should be no more than 100 words. And this example is, in this 90-minute workshop, award-winning actress and comedian Marina Martinez will teach the basics of improvisational comedy. Through 3 interactive exercises, participants will focus on listening to each other, building upon each other's contributions, and collaborating. The focus will be on laughter, inclusion, engagement, and celebration. Your neighborhood meeting may never be the same. So I'm hearing it. It sounds fun. Maybe it's going to be valuable too. But I can kind of tell what I'm going to get out of it. I know how long it's going to be. It gives us some good information. And then a short marketing description. So this marketing description is for the neighborhood to share as well, so that they can share that other short description. But this says, as an example, join comedian Maria Martinez for our neighborhood comedy workshop. Together, we'll learn some basics of improvisational comedy, including being present in the moment together, listening, responding, and collaborate. Expect lots of laughter and fun. So that's slightly different. It's kind of the same information, but I'm making it one step easier for the neighborhood to sell it to their neighbors, or the neighborhood leader to sell it to their neighbors. Let's see. How many neighborhood participants can participate? Yeah, I could probably make that easier. How many neighbors can participate? So give a range of what will be successful, a minimum and a maximum. So like that workshop, it probably won't be as much fun if you have fewer than, say, 5 people. But the most the artist might be able to manage in a group could be 12. So 5 to 12 people, which would be fine. What does the neighborhood need to provide? Consider the space needs. Can it be inside or outside, or is one preferable? What specific requirement will you have? Do you need electricity? How will they need to prepare to be ready for it? Keep in mind, the more flexible the needs, the easier it will be for the neighborhood to participate. What is the cost of engagement? So again, we're going to pay the artist or the arts organization directly, but we're going to market how much this costs as well. So there's a value placed on it. So and this is going to be a little bit of a negotiation with us. So we'll probably have some rules of thumb for it. So if it's a small workshop for under 20 people, how much will we think that's going to be? How much we pay for that? You're going to have to consider your supplies and your time in this. So the time for any staff, the time for yourself, and the cost of the supplies. But we'll have these kind of conversation in these one-on-one discussions. And I should say too, we can have more than one-on-one discussion as we're building this, because we're building it together. And then what kind of engagement is it? Is it an interactive performance? Is it a hands-on workshop? Is it a neighborhood art project, a community building workshop, or a youth engagement workshop? You might see this change a little bit. Somebody might say, you know what, my thing is really something else. And so we might add a category for that if we feel like we've missed one. You'll see on there that performance says interactive performance. And that doesn't have to be super elaborate, but I think in a performance, something that engages people a little bit in it would be terrific, whether that's a little behind the scenes of how you're doing it, or even just, because some introduction, some way that you're using it to help connect people. And that's part of what the coaches will be doing in the conversations. And let me, there. And that's part of what the coaches will be doing in these conversations. We'll be saying, okay, if we're doing X amount of work, if we add in 3 more steps, or if we add in 1 more element, we can get X to the X. We can get an exponential outcome. So it doesn't mean that it takes that much more work to get a bigger outcome, but just thinking about, what might be possible, and that's where I think that interactive part of the performance might be interesting. Yeah. And then we're going to ask for a signed and dated W-9, because if we're paying folks as a local government, we've got to get a W-9. And then we need to pay. So if you're getting paid for it, now not everybody has to fill this out, because some people will have proposals and they're not being paid for it. But if you're being paid for it, we put in there that you could submit a link to your point of sale system. So if you use Shopify or if you use Square, you can put a link in there, and we can go there and pay with a credit card. And that's going to be the fastest way to get money to you. But we also can do an invoice. And I've got a sample invoice loaded that you can download, and it's got blue fields in it. And you just change the name where you see the blue fields, or change the information. And then we've got some standard language in the invoice. This standard language is going to allow us not to have to do a contract. We're going to be able to do an invoice, but you'll say by signing it that if you're chosen, you agree to provide at least one, that your engagement at least once. And yeah, and for a mutually agreed upon additional amount. And that's the cost that we just discussed. And then you type your name, and that's your signature. And that's the whole form. It's pretty simple, but for everybody that we want to pay to be in the catalog this year, we're going to need to get that form filled out by October 30th. And I'm going to stop the share again. And we're almost done. I'm going to share screen again. If I remember where, let's see. Now I've lost my my keynote. Let's see here. Okay. I'm going to have to stop trying to share it again, and then now try and share it. Okay, here it is. It's interesting. It just went away. Okay. So I said on this that okay, with the payment, if you get it filled out by the end of October, you can expect the payment in early December. If we have to come back to you for information, we'll come back to you once. And, that means like we didn't get your invoice, the W-9 wasn't signed, things that would prevent us from paying. We'll come back to you once. We'd ask you that you come right back with that. If we don't have that completed form, and like we are really on a timeline, and we're not going to, we're not that big of a staff. So if we don't get it in time, there's a risk that you wouldn't be able to be in the catalog. So we're going to ask that you kind of get everything in there if you're selected by October 30th. And expectations. Expect to have lots of fun. We're going to build new relationships. We're doing it every day, and that's the most rewarding part of this. We're building new audiences. Hopefully you will identify and build new revenue streams. If this goes well, we've already put an application. Shalene Powell, the Roanoke Cultural Endowment, and I have put another application into the National Endowment for the Arts to continue this in year 2. We expect to have good and frequent communications with coaches, facilitators, and staff. That's going to be really important as we do this. We're working together. And then expect reporting via a Google form every time you submit or you've done an engagement. We'll ask for some numbers to be filled out like immediately. Because I say immediately because that's when it's fresh. We'll ask you, it'll be simple. And we'll ask a few questions. And then at the end of the year, we're also going to ask for a little bit of reporting to find out how you grew. And if that's, how you've grown personally, how you've grown professionally, and how your organization might have grown. And that's it. It's at 12:44. There's a big thank you to everybody who applied, but I will now, I'll stop the share. I'll go to the chat and I'll ask if anybody has any questions. let's see, in the chat. When will we know if the idea was accepted? So during these one-on-one conversations, you're going to have a really good, idea. I want to review it another time or two. Today, I will send out a list saying, okay, here's where you fell in the initial review. If you're one of the 47 where we think, oh yeah, let's push forward. You'll know that. You'll know if you were in the middle where there's a good chance that you're going to be selected. And then if you're in the other part where we think there might be another program for you, you'll know that as well. So I'll send that information out. I've just got to figure out how to do that in a really clear, simple way. So I guess it'll probably be individual email. So that's what I'll be doing while I'm waiting for people to pop into the office hours. Let's see. If you get paid by credit card, you will receive a W-2 for the amount from the city and from the payment entities. Square. That's a lot of, okay, yeah. So Jane, do you want to say anything in addition to that on the working with Square?
Just to clarify, I build the city for the empathy project, and I use Square as a platform for invoicing, and I didn't expect that they would pay by credit card, and they did. And so Square took a huge chunk out of it, 2.6%, whatever it is. And then I had to go pay Brian, and at the end of the year, I got a W-2 from Square for that amount, and also from the city. So I paid hell on my taxes trying to prove that that was the same money and not being taxed on it twice.
Oh, I didn't realize that they would tax you on that. They would tax you on that. So if you have some ways around that, let's make that available to folks. Or if not, it might be better that you don't use the point of sale system. Yeah. Great. Thank you, Jane.
Yep.
All right. The office hours again. I'll share them again. And thank you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share them in the chat. Let's see. And I will send these out in the email. I'll send out a blanket email to everybody so you get these right away. But I'll also put them in the individual email. Let's see. Oh, there's the chat. Let's see if you might have to, I'm not sure if this will show up as oh yeah, it did show up as a link. So you can, if you want to grab those, you can grab them. If not, I'll email them out to everybody. But that Monday 1 to 4, so I'll start one in just a few minutes. I might make a cup of coffee. I'll start one coming up. And then Nicholas Montgomery says, quick follow-up on invoicing. My invoices contain a link to pay online by bank or card. Usually they come via email. Would that work better for y'all, or would a paper invoice be better? That's what we were talking about. You make sure it works for you. If you have to pay a fee and you don't want to pay that fee, the paper invoice is fine. And I've got a space in that form where you can upload a paper invoice, or you can do a link. And you tell
actually, so maybe what's getting a little confused is the difference is when I send an invoice, it just comes through with it like, you can pay now, like via the email. There's not a separate link that I send. I use Zoho Books. I don't know if anyone uses that. So I didn't know if like, it might be, I'm happy to upload like the paper invoice in that thing. But then if you guys wanted, I can just send you an email as well that contains that thing to be able to pay by card if that's easier.
If you do, I'll match it up. I mean,
cool.
we're probably learning.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. Yeah.
That's fine. Great.
Thank you. Yeah, this is all, this is the kind of conversation that happens in Catherine Devine's roundtables too, about, kind of on the business side of things. And you'll be looking for the announcement coming out soon about when those are happening this year as well. All right. Any other questions that are general to everybody? Catherine. Oh, you're on mute.
Not a question, but while I got you guys here, we have our meet and greet at the municipal building, 6 to 7. It's not gonna be a long time for any of the artists to talk, but we'd love some folks to come and see the show and interact with the artists. And put that on your calendars, third Monday through the whole year, because we've got some really just amazing art and subjects, and it's just a great way to get to know, and you may see some familiar faces there too.
Terrific. That's tonight. It's on the first floor of the municipal building at 215 Church Avenue Southwest, and on the first floor south. And we'll have the doors open. Come on by. And then if you linger at 7 o'clock, we're going to go into the council chambers, and our Art by Bus project will be featured at the beginning of the council meeting, and JC Stallings and Eva Lynch Comer are going to present what they did for Art by Bus. And Tahisha, so do you want all applicants to meet sometime with you during these hours? Yes. I do actually want to meet with everybody. These relationships are really important to us. And there's some things that we can, it doesn't have to be long, but we can just check in. And the more we know about you, the more we're able to support you, I think. So even if you get a note saying, yeah, we're really excited about it, and you've been on here, it's still probably a good idea to touch base. And I've got a little log. I'll keep track of who kind of checks in. All right. Any more questions? Well, thank you all for taking the time today. I enjoyed having lunch with you, and I'll look forward to more conversation. All right. We appreciate you.